Hey guys, I hope you're well. Happy Friday. There's been a few things going on in the world of Arsenal, so I wanted to jump on and give my thoughts on them. I'm going to start with the Madueke rumours. I do not like them. I repeat, I do not like them. Stay away, Noni Madueke. No, but in all seriousness, I don't understand. I don't understand the links. I know that both Fabrizio and Ornstein have come out and said that he is a player that we are considering, but I just don't understand it. I mean, we have Saka on the right, who's obviously the starting right winger and probably the best player in the squad. And then we've got Ranieri, who, in my opinion, his role this season was to continue to kind of find his feet, learn, develop as that kind of backup option to Saka, and potentially, play some minutes in a more central role as well. So I just really don't understand how Madueke fits into all of this, and if he does come on board, then what happens to Ranieri and his development? And so, yeah, I don't like that one, and I don't want it to happen, and that's just me being honest. So moving on from there, Eze. Now, that is a signing that gets me excited. That is a signing that I love the sound of. I've been crying out for Arsenal to go and get a more central, creative player to take the pressure off Odegaard. I think Arsenal don't have enough players who have that kind of that guile, that creativity, that ability to change a game in an instant with a piece of magic. We just don't have enough of those players, and I think that's exactly what Eze is. So I love the sound of that signing. I love the fact that I think he can play in the 10, I think he can play in the 8, he can play on the left-hand side if we want him to. So in that sense, he's kind of Arteta's ideal signing in the fact that he's a flexible, adaptable type of player. And so, yeah, I think having him in the squad just gets me excited. It's exactly what Arsenal need to be doing. We were so stale and one-dimensional last season from an attacking point of view. So the thought of having the likes of Saka and Ranieri, Odegaard, Eze, Rodrigo potentially, and then a new striker, like that's what needs to happen for Arsenal if we want to have any chance of competing for the big trophies next season. So yeah, I'm really pumped about that one, and I think that one will get done. I really do think that one will get done, and we can pay it in installments, which is right up Arsenal's alley, and gives us more money for this summer. So it ticks all the boxes in my opinion. Rodrigo, I'm not gonna lie, that to me is starting to feel more possible as the days go on. I read something the other day that he's played barely 28 minutes in the 4 games so far. I don't think he started a single match. I don't even think he came off the bench in the second last game before the Juventus one. So he must be sitting there thinking to himself, how do I fit into this new Real Madrid side? And bear in mind, this is all without Mbappe really being part of the squad in this World Cup. So, yeah, he has to be sitting there kind of questioning what role he's going to play next season for Real Madrid, which makes me think that if Arsenal come in with a serious bid and convince him that not only is he joining a club that wants to win the biggest trophies, but he's going to be an absolute key cog of that team, I think there's a world in which that possibly happens. I think the only downside to this one is it's not going to be a quick win. I do think it's going to take time. Obviously, Real Madrid is still playing in the World Club Cup and will likely probably make the final. So I think that tournament will have to play out. And then I think you're going to have some pretty lengthy conversations to get that one across the line. So that one wouldn't surprise me if it potentially even went past the first game of the season, which is not ideal. I really wanted Arsenal to kind of have the bulk of their deals wrapped up before pre-season, if I'm being honest. I think pre-season is critical, particularly when you look at our first 6 games of the season. I really wanted all of our new signings on that plane, ready to have a really solid pre-season, so that everyone can just kind of gel and get used to each other. But I think with the Rodrigo one, we might just have to accept that will be a bit of a slow process. And I'm happy with that on the premise that Arsenal are getting early indications that there's genuine interest from Rodrigo to join the club. You know, if Arsenal are kind of 90% confident that we get him across the line, then I'm happy for that one to drag out a little. The striker situation hasn't changed. I mean, it's boring now, right? Let's be honest. It's got to a point now where I almost don't care who it is. I just want the person signed. I think it changes every day, but the one thing I'm adamant about is that I want this player. Excuse me, guys, I've got a cough. I want this player signed and on that preseason plane on the 21st of July, I believe. Given how long everyone associated to Arsenal has known that we need a striker for, I will just find it totally unacceptable if we haven't wrapped that one up before we go on preseason. And given that all of the focus has been on us needing a striker, I think it's imperative that that person, as I said, gets a full preseason to understand how we play, to get those link ups going smoothly. And yeah, it's just imperative that they start the preseason tour with that striker in place. Outside of that, I really like the likely signing of this centre back Mosquera, I believe, from Valencia. Look, I've been saying for a while now that I think if we're going to sign a defender, it should be a right-footed defender. I've done what every single Arsenal fan's done, and I've jumped on YouTube and I've looked at his highlight reels. And look, I won't lie, I know you can't go off a highlight reel, but from what I've seen, he's tall, he's athletic, he's strong, he's quick, he looks like he reads the game well. And so I think that looks like a really smart, good signing for me. I think Saliba played way too much football last season, and so I like the idea that we have someone who can cover for him. And I do think he will get some minutes. I think he'll play a role this season, similar to what Kivio has done on the left-hand side. I think he will get game time. And I also like the fact that he can also potentially cover in the right backside for Timber or Ben White, who are both kind of, I wouldn't say under injury clouds, but obviously Ben White was injured for a long time last season. And when he did come back towards the end of the season, he didn't look great. So we don't really know what we're getting there. And Timber obviously had an unbelievable season, but was on his last legs towards the end of it. I think he's even had surgery in the off season. Sorry. So again, you know, we don't know exactly how those two will be. And how durable throughout the season they'll be. So to have that extra option on that right side is a good thing, I think. And I love it when Arsenal go and snap up these young players who are being spoken about highly. You know, I think it's really great that Arsenal is still in a position to be able to convince these young players who probably have all the options that you could want as a young footballer. For them to see Arsenal as the place that they want to go to, I think is a really positive thing. So yeah, look, I think to summarize, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling a lot more confident. I feel like Arteta is understanding how important this season is and how important it is that he has a proper squad at his disposal. So I'm encouraged, but at the end of the day, a lot of it is still just rumour stuff, paper talk, if you like. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but I'm feeling encouraged. I believe the Zubimendi deal was supposed to be announced yesterday, but obviously with the tragic news of Diego Jota and his brother passing away, I believe the club made a decision to postpone it, and it might be announced today. So that'll be good to see that one finally announced. And I think the Norgard one also is not far away. I would like to say that I still think Thomas Partey leaving is a mistake. I understand the reasons for why the club haven't decided to get that one done, but yeah, I think Thomas Partey not being an Arsenal player this season could potentially bite us on the bum. You know, for example, these first 6 games of the season are going to be incredibly difficult, and I would have just loved Thomas Partey to have been there at the base of that midfield holding fort. You know, he's been there, he's done that, he knows what's required, he knows how we play, and instead we're going to have, you know, potentially a Zubimendi who's never played in the league before, trying to find his feet against the likes of, you know, Newcastle, Liverpool, Manchester City. So yeah, it'll be a tough ask on him, but you know, I cross my fingers and pray that he steps in and does an unbelievable job, and we forget about Thomas Partey quickly. But I think chances are we'll quickly realise how important Thomas Partey was to the way we play. But yeah, anyway, let's put that to the side for now. I'd love to know what you think about my thoughts. I want to know, do you think Madueke is a yes or a no? I'd love to know how excited you are by the signing of Eze. And yeah, do you think we can get Rodrigo over the line? So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And hopefully we can be talking about some signings in the coming days. All right, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.